All right, let's dive into a case that's practically legendary in this small town in Michigan.
Okay.
We're talking the unsolved murder of Earl Marshall
Mm-hmm.
back in 1979.
Yeah.
He owned a popular spot called the Cozy Inn.
I love these kind of cases.
Right.
They're just so fascinating.
Small town,
Yeah.
not the kind of place you'd expect something like this.
Exactly. It's not like some big city
Right.
with a high crime rate.
Right.
This was a close community.
Everyone knew each other.
Everyone knew Earl.
So, for our deep dive today, we've got interviews with the lead detective on the case.
Oh, wow.
And even better,
Okay.
snippets of interviews he conducted with key witnesses
Nice.
from back then,
Wow.
even Earl's ex-wife.
That's gold right there.
Think of us as your guides
Yeah.
through all of this material.
Okay.
We'll help you piece together what might have happened.
I love it.
So put on your detective hats
Yeah.
and see if you can crack the case along with us.
I'm ready.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so first, let's paint a picture of the Cozy Inn.
Right.
This was a classic diner-style place
Mm-hmm.
near a dam and a campground.
Oh, nice.
Got a mix of locals and tourists coming through.
Yeah, I bet.
And Earl himself was super well-liked,
Okay.
kind of a hugger. Not someone you picture having enemies.
Right.
Makes the whole thing even weirder.
Yeah, it really does.
It's especially how he was found.
What do you mean?
It wasn't a neighbor or a family member who found him.
Yeah.
It was his business partner.
The business partner.
Yeah, the business partner who stumbled upon the scene.
Wow. That's
odd, right?
yeah, that's really odd.
But, it makes you think.
It does.
What was he even doing there?
Right. Like, what's the story there?
Unfortunately, the sources don't give us any of those details.
Oh, man.
But it definitely raises questions.
It does.
What was going through his mind
Yeah.
when he found Earl?
Totally.
Okay, so let's get into the details of
Right.
the crime scene itself. Earl was found behind his front door.
Mm.
Underwear and a t-shirt. It's like he got out of bed for something.
Yeah.
But whatever it was, had to have happened fast.
Okay.
But here's the most striking detail.
Okay.
Cause of death. Single gunshot to the head.
Oh, wow.
Fired from a distance.
A single shot.
Sounds more like a hitman to me
Yeah, for sure.
than something that happens in a small town like that.
That's not your typical crime of passion.
And get this.
Okay.
Investigators determined it came from a high-powered rifle.
A rifle.
That's not your average weapon.
No, not at all.
So who did they suspect?
Well, early on,
Yeah.
they focused on a local guy
Okay.
named Jackie Simmons.
Jackie Simmons.
He had a record,
Okay.
mostly property crimes,
Okay.
but they knew he had access to a rifle.
So back in the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
small town police often started with the usual suspects.
Yeah, makes sense.
The people who already had a reputation.
Right.
But was there anything really linking him to Earl?
Not really.
Hmm.
And they started to realize a high-powered rifle,
Yeah.
that's a pretty unusual choice for a burglar.
Now that you mention it,
Right.
you'd want something,
Yeah.
if you're breaking in.
Uh-huh.
You want something small, concealable.
Easy to
So
handle.
it's a hunting rifle.
I mean,
Not exactly subtle.
no.
So if Jackie wasn't a burglar,
Yeah.
what else?
Was there something else?
Was there bad blood between him and Earl?
Did they have a history?
Maybe a motive we haven't even talked about.
Right.
That's the thing.
What is it?
There wasn't a clear motive.
Oh,
And here's where it gets even more complicated.
okay.
A few years after the murder,
Yeah.
Jackie committed suicide.
Whoa. Hold on.
Suicide?
Are you serious?
Did he leave a note?
Yeah, like a confession.
We don't know.
Oh, man.
Those details aren't in the materials.
Wow.
But it adds another layer, right?
Definitely.
Was he racked with guilt
Yeah,
over something he did?
could be.
Or was he wrongly suspected?
Yeah.
The pressure just got too much.
Wow. That's heavy.
It's a question that really hangs over this case.
It does.
Makes you wonder if he was involved at all,
Yeah.
or if he just became a scapegoat
Right.
for a community that was desperate for answers.
Makes you think.
It really does. It's
Yeah.
like something out of a movie.
Totally.
It really does. I mean, was Jackie involved somehow, or did he just become like
Yeah.
this easy answer
Right.
for people?
A scapegoat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So were there any other leads that the police were looking at?
Well, yeah.
Uh,
There were a few things.
Okay.
Witnesses reported seeing a car speeding away.
A car.
Yeah, a pretty distinct one.
Okay.
Bright red sloped windows.
Oh, interesting.
Keep that in mind.
Okay.
It'll come back later.
Right. A red car.
Yeah.
So did any of the suspects we talked about
Hmm.
own a car like that?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
But first, let's talk about the other people in Earl's life
Okay.
who might have had a reason to want him gone.
Light.
The police looked into his ex-wife
The ex-wife.
and her new boyfriend.
Ooh. Okay, so was there anything
Yeah.
that said their relationship was particularly messy?
It seems Earl was having a tough time with the divorce,
Okay.
and there were whispers around town
Oh, really?
that some folks weren't too fond of the ex
Yeah, okay.
or her new partner.
But,
Yeah.
heartbreak doesn't automatically
Right.
make you a killer.
Exactly.
Did they have any alibis?
The ex-wife was miles away
Oh, really?
at the time of the murder.
So she's in the clear.
Looks like it.
What about the boyfriend?
That's a bit more of a question mark. Investigators couldn't place him anywhere else.
So he's still on the radar.
He remained on their radar.
So we've got a mystery red car,
Huh.
ex-lover with a shaky alibi,
Yeah.
and a suspect who took his own life.
It's a lot.
What happened next?
Well, the case went cold
For how long?
for a number of years.
Okay.
And then in 1989,
Okay.
almost a decade after the murder,
Wow.
a tip came in,
A tip.
pointing the finger at a new suspect.
Okay.
But for some reason, they didn't pursue it.
They didn't pursue it.
And get this,
Okay.
10 years later,
Yeah.
another tip came in,
Wow.
naming the same person.
Two separate tips,
Yeah.
years apart.
That's right.
About the same guy.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big coincidence.
You'd think.
Why wouldn't they follow up on that?
It's hard to say. Sometimes, even with promising information,
Yeah.
it's just not enough.
What do you mean?
Witnesses can be unreliable.
Right.
Evidence could be lost
Yeah, okay.
or contaminated over time.
Makes sense.
And people can be reluctant to talk
I can imagine.
after so many years.
So what else happened with this case?
Well, it's kind of become part of local folklore, you know?
What do you mean?
People talk about ghost stories.
Ghost stories.
At the Cozy Inn, drinks falling off shelves.
No way.
Unexplained noises.
Wow, spooky.
People even claim to see Earl's ghost.
A haunted murder scene.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
A place where something that tragic happened.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense
It
that it would
does.
hold on to that energy.
Yeah, whether you believe in ghosts or not,
Right.
it just adds another layer to the whole thing.
It does. Right.
Keeps the case alive in people's minds.
It becomes more than just a crime.
Yeah.
It's part of the community now.
So this case went cold
Mm-hmm.
for years
Yeah.
with whispers and ghost stories
Yeah.
swirling around it.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, it got a fresh set of eyes, right?
That's right.
Tell me about Detective Mercer.
Detective Mercer.
Yeah.
He inherited the case
Hmm.
decades after the initial investigation.
Wow. And he wasn't content to
No.
let it gather dust?
No, he dove back in,
Good for him.
went through the old files,
Uh,
re-interviewed witnesses, tracked down their relatives.
He was really thorough.
He even brought in the FBI,
The FBI.
Behavioral Analysis Unit.
Wow. They don't just bring in the FBI for nothing.
It means they were taking it seriously.
What did the FBI's analysis reveal?
Well, one of the key things they brought
Yeah.
was criminal profiling.
Okay.
They studied everything.
Okay.
The crime scene, the
Yep.
victim,
Mm-hmm.
and they concluded
Yeah.
this was most likely
Yeah.
a personal grievance killing.
Someone with a grudge against Earl.
Exactly.
So they ruled out a random act of violence.
Based on their analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems less likely.
The precision of the shot,
Uh-huh.
the choice of weapon,
Makes sense.
it pointed towards a targeted attack.
Yeah.
Someone who wanted him dead
Okay.
for a specific reason.
And this reinforces the idea
Yeah.
that Jackie might have been a red herring.
It's looking that way.
Okay, so the FBI pointed towards a personal grudge.
Yeah.
Did Mercer uncover any new leads?
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Mercer found someone who'd been overlooked
Overlooked.
for years.
Wow.
And this person
Yeah.
fit the profile.
Mm.
Remember that red car?
Yeah, the one with the sloped windows.
That's right.
I was wondering when that was going to come back.
Well, it turns out
Yeah.
this new suspect owned a red car
Really?
matching that description.
Wow. Okay.
And not only that,
What?
this person was a regular at the Cozy Inn.
So Earl knew this person.
It seemed so.
Wow.
And just a few days before the murder,
Okay.
this suspect got into an argument with Earl
At the bar.
and was kicked out.
No way.
Yeah.
A red car, a personal connection, and an argument?
Uh-huh.
Sounds like Mercer finally found his guy.
It really seems that way.
But there's a catch, isn't there?
There is.
Always a
The
catch.
prosecutor hasn't signed off on an arrest warrant.
Why not?
The evidence.
Yeah.
It's mostly circumstantial.
So what's the holdup?
In a case like this,
Yeah.
it's not enough to have a suspect who might be guilty.
I know.
They need to be able to build a solid case.
That'll hold up in court.
Exactly.
It's got to be tough, especially after so long.
Memories fade.
Evidence disappears.
It's a challenge.
So what happens now?
Well, the investigation isn't necessarily over. Yeah, it's a tough one.
I know. I mean, it's got to be frustrating for Mercer, too.
Oh, totally.
He puts in all this work, re-examines everything,
Right.
and just when he thinks he has the answer,
Yeah.
another roadblock.
It's definitely a setback.
But even if this guy doesn't lead to an arrest,
Right.
it's not over, is it?
Not necessarily.
I mean, Mercer's work, the
Yeah.
FBI, all this new attention on the case.
Right.
It could lead to new witnesses.
It could.
Maybe some new evidence we didn't have before.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Makes you wonder if there's someone out there
Hmm.
who knows more than they've let on.
Oh.
Someone close to this new suspect.
Maybe.
Maybe they saw something. Or overheard a conversation, something crucial.
Definitely a possibility.
When, after all these years,
Yeah.
maybe they're finally ready to talk.
You know,
It happens.
it does.
Relationships change. People rethink their loyalties.
Right. People change.
That would be incredible.
That would.
To finally have that missing piece
Yeah.
closure for Earl's family.
For the whole town, really.
I've been haunted by this
For sure.
for so long.
Decades.
You mentioned the Cozy Inn.
Yeah.
What happened to it after Earl's death?
It closed down
Oh, really?
a few years after the murder.
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
Hard to imagine it just going back to normal.
Right. After something like that.
All those ghost stories, too.
Oh, yeah. Those didn't help.
Adds to the mystique.
For sure.
A place people both remember and avoid.
Exactly.
It's like the building itself became a symbol
Yeah.
of this unsolved mystery.
A reminder of the unanswered questions.
And the pain.
Absolutely.
You know, it says here someone recently placed a memorial cross near where the Cozy Inn used to be.
Interesting.
Do we know who did that?
No, the details aren't clear.
But it adds another layer,
It does.
another wrinkle.
Was it just to remember Earl?
Could be.
A gesture for his family?
Maybe.
Or could it be something more?
It's possible.
Maybe a message from someone involved?
Whoa.
Haunt?
A way to keep the case alive?
Or maybe just remorse?
Could be.
It's a chilling reminder
Yeah.
that even after all these
What's this?
years,
Yeah.
Earl Marshall's memory
Yeah.
and this unsolved murder,
It still haunts that town.
it really does.
Yeah.
This deep dive.
It has been a journey.
It really has. More questions than answers,
There always are with these cases.
but fascinating nonetheless.
They really are.
Any final thoughts?
It's tough to say,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't rule out a solution.
You think it could still be solved?
Mercer's work, the FBI's insights.
Yeah.
You never know what might turn up.
I hope you're right.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on.
A lot to think about.
What stood out to you?
What are your own theories about what happened that night?
It's like you said,
Yeah.
we can all be armchair detectives.
Exactly.
We've explored the twists and turns of this case.
Back to suspects,
The ghost stories.
Earl's memory,
It's captivating.
unsolved but not forgotten.
Not at all.
That's all the time we have for today.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, stay curious.
And keep those minds sharp.